everybody wants Canadian soccer to be moving together in the same direction. It's been crazy. In recent months, we've brought in the Bundesliga rights, the NWSL rights, creating these like premium content ecosystem that goes with the women's national team, that goes with the men's national team, that goes with the CPL. And like, that's really exciting. They don't know the difference at 5 between Callum Irving and Lionel Messi. We had a great clip of this phenomenal goal. This is a big deal, and we're going to make it even bigger.
Yeah.
It's like, don't limit yourself to sports journalism.
This week's guest, Laura Armstrong, is Vice President, Communications of Business Integration at Canadian Soccer Media and Entertainment. That is a massive title that I want to see her say quick, fast, and speedy. If she can do it fast 3 times, she's a winner. Now, where she leads strategic communications, public relations, and key stakeholder engagement across the company's corporate functions, leagues, and media assets. This is super important because we are going to talk CPL, Canada Soccer, and a whole bunch of other things that are about to kick off in April. There's been some rebranding going on. Men's Canada and women's Canadian soccer is never been more popular. This is perfect timing to have her in studio to talk with us about all the different things that they are up to and she is up to. Laura was also a journalist, and this is why this is super exciting to have her in here, because I think we're going to be able to talk about a few things around the beautiful game on both sides of the aisle, which is what we love to do here at the first half. It's what makes us smile. Welcome back to TSN 690 iHeartRadio. This is the first half, and we have in studio with us Laura Armstrong, who is the Vice President of Communications and Business Integration at Canadian Soccer Media and Entertainment. Now, when I read that out at the top of the show, I said, if you can say that 3 times fast, we're taking you guys out for dinner. But I'm not going to put you in that position because I bet you can, and I don't really want to spend the money on an expensive dinner here in Montreal. That's a title. You got a lot of responsibility, and I want to thank you for taking a few minutes to join us today here in studio. How are you?
I am great, thank you. And to be honest, it's a new title, and I still don't know what it is. So,
is that right?
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to say it 3 times fast because I can't say it 1 time slow just yet. So,
amazing.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
So I should have done the bet.
You should have done the bet. You would have won. I would have been taking you out for dinner.
Yeah, we're not we're not like that on the show.
Time.
Yeah, exactly. Next time.
Yeah.
Okay, so look, tell us a little bit about what just happened, and explain a little bit about soccer media entertainment and sort of this rebranding that, for those that aren't 100% sure, but it might have seen the new logo, a bunch of media go out about it, and just to give us a little bit of, I don't want to say a history lesson, but a bit of a, hey, this is what's going on right now in the landscape.
Yeah, so last Friday we had Canadian Soccer Media and Entertainment and Canada Soccer made a very welcome announcement, I think, for many in the Canadian soccer community, just realigning sort of our purpose, realigning our partnership. This has been a partnership that has caused a lot of conversation over the last, 4 years or so. And we've been working really hard with Canada Soccer on, putting it back into a positive light and making sure that everybody is working together on really making this sing. So from a Canadian Soccer Media and Entertainment perspective, we used to be Canadian Soccer Business. We evolved our name to be Canadian Soccer Media Entertainment. Big change, I know.
No, but it is a big change. That's
but
not
it is
true.
A big change, right?
It really
exactly.
does say something different.
It doesn't come across like a big change. It's more specific. The intention is to be more specific about who we are and what we do. So Canadian Soccer Media and Entertainment, we represent the sponsorship, media, and licensing rights for Canada Soccer. Right. We are also an organization that has properties such as the Canadian Premier League and Premier League Soccer Leagues Canada. So we've rebranded those as well. So it's been a really, really busy start to the calendar year. Right. We might as well just change everything all at the same time. But from a CSME perspective, we've done a lot of work under our group CEO, James Johnson, who came in last year, to really sort of articulate our role in the Canadian soccer landscape, because it's an important role, and it's one of those roles that we really see as like a catalyst for growth, and helping this game, develop even further roots and then shine. So it's been crazy.
Especially because of the timing, right? Like for those, again, anybody listening to our show knows about the World Cup coming in just a couple of months. But the timing is obviously specific. I mean, this
really important.
You couldn't choose a better time to do this.
No, we couldn't choose a better time to do this. And you know what I took away from last week's announcement is that everybody wants this. Like, everybody wants Canadian soccer to be moving together in the same direction, and I think that's what last week's announcement was all about. So it's a great deal for Canada Soccer. We're really happy about it, and I think it's going to really grow the game in Canada and remove some of the barriers that have existed in the past.
We can talk about the fact that I just found out you're an Arsenal fan.
We can talk about that for half an hour if you want. I'm ready to go.
Don't think we're not going there. You 100% know we're going to the Arsenal conversation, but not right away. My last question on that, and then I'd like to move on, just because that's really not what it's not about, but will the media and entertainment element of that, will that give others opportunity to come work with you if they're not representing a football club or they're not in football? Like, I mean, does this open the door to potentially having others knock on the door and say, hey, we know you're involved in that world. We'd like to, see how we can all work together?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that, a big part of our strategy under James at Canadian Soccer Media and Entertainment is really to create a soccer content ecosystem. Right. So we license our rights to One Soccer. We've also worked with TSN in the past. We've worked with other major news networks as well. But that's creating jobs, right? Like, it's creating a content ecosystem that talks about this game, which, in this country is still developing as well. As we're developing the on-field product, as we're developing, the off-field administrative people, we have to develop a media market too. And so by bringing these different properties in, we're able to sort of expand what we're doing from a media perspective. So in recent months, we've brought in the Bundesliga rights, which we've licensed to One Soccer. We brought in recently the NWSL rights, which we licensed to One Soccer. We're creating these this premium content ecosystem that goes with the women's national team, that goes with the men's national team, that goes with the CPL. And that's really exciting because we're going to have a World Cup here in June, and you want to see what Alphonso Davies is doing in the lead up to that. We're going to have a Women's World Cup in Brazil next year, and you want to see what the women in the NWSL are doing as they're preparing for that tournament. So it allows you to follow their journey by bringing those rights to Canadians. We want to make soccer more accessible to soccer of all kinds, not just the properties that we own and manage, but we want to bring all soccer properties together.
How did you get into football? So where are you born?
Ottawa.
Okay.
I was born in
mom
Ottawa.
And dad
Mom and dad. My mom is Dutch.
Yep.
My dad is British, and so that's where my soccer comes from.
Is that right?
Yeah. So the long story short is that he was born in Manchester, and I am an Arsenal fan. So something went wrong there,
terribly
right?
wrong.
Something went terribly wrong. The rest of the family, in my extended family, are United supporters.
Really?
And
are you the only Arsenal supporter?
We, as a collective small unit, my mom, dad, brother, and sister-in-law, now my niece, are Arsenal fans.
Wow. Have you been to a match at
At the
Emirates? Very cool.
Emirates, yeah. One of the things on the last trip, and this is a little bit off topic, but it kind of gets to the crux of why I love this game. I went to 2 matches that weekend. The other match that I went to is a women's international friendly between the Netherlands and England, and it was great
Wembley?
because at Wembley, and it was I don't know, 95,000 people. It was sold out. It was my 2 sort of backgrounds, right? Netherlands versus England. I went with a friend of mine who is now living over in the UK, and we played football together growing up. So we played all through from the time we were probably 11 until we were 22, we played football together. And so we went and we went to the pub first, and we talked about why it was so important for us to be there, and why it was important for us to see a stadium full of women sold out, 95,000 people. And then my friend who I was traveling with, she'd never been to sort of a football game that big, and we sat and we were in a section, and it was all daughters and dads. It felt like it was all daughters and dads, and we were crying at points in the game because it was just such a special moment, because you think to yourself, this wouldn't have happened to us when we were this age. When we were 8 years old, there weren't 95,000 people filling a women's soccer stadium, right? And so also it was an incredible game, and we got to see all 5 goals at the end that we were sitting at. But It was one of those things where that was one of those days where I was this is why I love this, because I can see somebody falling in love with it in front of my eyes.
Women that have been playing the game have said this has been maybe too long to get to where it has, but now it's gone from A to Z quick. You saw what just happened with Trinity Rodman. it's not slowing down at all. Thoughts on sort of on this supercharge or just
yeah, like it's so special. It means so much. It genuinely means so much to me. I mean, we get to deal with or own and manage the Premier Soccer Leagues Canada. So that's my like kind of touch point. It's the semi-pro level of women's soccer here in the country. And up until the NSL coming in, it was the highest level of women's soccer in the country. So one of the things that I get to do every summer with my good friend Dino Rossi, who is the VP of PSLC and is sort of the brainchild of some of this stuff, is we run the women's interprovincial championships, and it's my favorite weekend of the year because I get to be around women's soccer. And like I was a no good football player. Like I was not.
Nobody's ever.
Like I'm like, oh, I had a career-ending injury. I like
that's the excuse.
Yeah, that's the excuse. I like tripped over my own leg and tore the ligaments of my ankle. That's funny. No, it's like it's a very special thing to see. It's incredible to watch the growth of women's sport, but I feel it like no matter like the gender, when I'm at a CPL game, when I'm close to the game and I see the way that it impacts people and I see the community that, you know, I think probably like exists around all sports, but I am just so ingrained in soccer that I see it there the most. Like that's what I love. I love being at a CPL game and there being fans on the field after and watching kids just delight in meeting a guy in a uniform, right? Like I think that means so much. And when I think about football, like it's part of, I always say it's like part of the fabric of my being. It's contributed so much to who I am today. And so being in those moments and getting to appreciate it is so exciting. And it's what keeps you going when you and I are working, you know, like crazy to help support it, right?
Can be, and I don't mean to be over dramatic, but life-changing, right? I mean, sometimes it's like the kids that are sometimes on the walkout. Changes them forever. Like I'm in, he or she, like this is it. It's such a special moment. I
tell a story, and listen, earlier I said not a big hockey fan, right? When I was a kid, I was at school and one of the Ottawa 67s players came in and I walked him. I was a real goody two shoes and I got to walk him around the school like a teacher's pet.
Okay.
And shocking probably, Laura's leading people around, but I went home and I said to my mom, like, we have to go to the Ottawa 67s this weekend because Mark Bell told me I had to go, and like Mark Bell is my friend now, and so we went, right? And the Ottawa 67s, like if you want to be like just looking at dollars and cents of it, got a family of 4 out to a game, 4 tickets, 4 hot dogs, 4 drinks, bunch of popcorn, some ice cream probably. Like for Mark Bell going and you know seeing some kids
and talking to one specific kid for a few minutes.
Right? Yeah, exactly. I think it's really important. I see the way that kids interact with our players in the CPL, and they don't know the difference at 5 between Callum Irving and Lionel Messi.
Right.
Like they just don't.
They don't.
They see it's a guy who's just played and pulled off a heroic stop and who is now signing their shirt.
Yeah.
Like it's the number of kids that I've had to be like, you have to ask your parents if they can sign that item because it seems expensive, and I don't think our players should be signing your laptop, you know.
Yeah.
But like,
you mean a low lift in the sense that it takes nothing for a player to literally talk, sign, give an item,
show a smile.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, I think all of the guys like understand their part in growing the game in soccer in Canada, and so they will like suffer a tough loss or, you know, feel exhausted or run themselves into the ground, and then they will show up for the community. And the clubs that do that really well are the clubs that get people coming back game after game. That are integrating the players and themselves within the community and talking them through good and bad. What would be one of the best footballing moments you've experienced here in Canada, across the pond, that you can remember right now? Again, you're going to have many more to come, but up till now, that you can think of. Here in Canada, I was there for the Women's World Cup in 2015. That was my first ever real assignment when I worked at the Toronto Star. Watching Christine Sinclair score the penalty in like the 94th minute against, I think it was China? I should know that. But that was a pretty incredible moment. I thought that was great. Mm-hmm. From a CPL perspective, last year's final was incredible. Mm-hmm. We saw you that day. Mm-hmm. I loved the behind the scenes of that day. I loved the fact that we were all in the tunnel, like just going through 47 different iterations of what was going to happen. And then when we finally breathed a little bit and we noticed that like we had a great clip of this phenomenal goal and that it was starting to take off, we had this like group of like league comms, league social, cavalry comms, cavalry social, Ottawa comms, Ottawa social, one soccer comms and social, all sitting in this little huddle trying to find ways to like blow it up,
amplify it. Yeah.
And
this is the icicle kick.
This is the icicle kick, and it's the team behind the team, and like the thing that I'm the most proud of in my role now is my team. Like we don't get to see the people behind the scenes all the time, right? But like going to work every day at the league office or at HQ, CSME HQ, and seeing the passion that everybody brings to it is incredible. And when you get to have those moments where you're like, this is a big deal and we're going to make it even bigger.
Yeah.
Even when we're like small and everybody's doing 47 things and like we're really trying hard, but like that was a really exceptional night. And like for the rest of the night, somebody would come up to me, like our manager of League Comms, Kat, who's in her first season, and she would come up to me and she'd be like, "We got the BBC, we got Sky Sports, we got like we're here," and it was just like it was organic passion, and it was just like love for our team, which was pretty incredible. So
that's cool.
I mean,
that's
but I could wax poetic forever.
No, that's fine.
Yeah.
And okay, again, this is the whole point of this show, but that's a great description of sort of the behind the scenes about that.
Listen, my worst ever moment in soccer, other than when I slide tackled and tore the ligaments in my ankle and devastated
and
my
Dad
future
wasn't there
career.
the one time.
Devastated my future career. Was also linked to my dad when we went to Highbury when I was a kid, and we had tickets to Arsenal Man United at Highbury, and then my brother like made some final of his house league hockey tournament, and so we
is why you hate hockey. Have you not talked to a therapist about it? Of course this is why you hate hockey.
So we postponed our trip to like England, and then we ended up getting there in time somehow, but we didn't have tickets to the game because my dad had given them up.
Oh no.
So
you still went.
So we went to Highbury that day, and there was a scalper outside, and my dad was like, "How much are tickets?" And he said something like £750 per person.
Oh, get out of here.
And so I apparently, as like a 10-year-old, turned to my dad and was like, "So are you going to pay the man or like what?" And to this day, my father has the gall to make fun of me for never having been to Highbury when he was the one who closed the door.
Yeah. You're going to pay at Christmas, my friend.
Yeah.
It's very clear you are doing what you were supposed to be doing. There's no confusion here. It's not one of those, maybe I woke up and maybe I'll go this direction.
Mm-hmm.
It seems very clear based on what I can tell. Tell us a little bit how you got into sports journalism. And I'm asking this because a lot of people want to know, and people like to follow footsteps of people we speak to, right?
Yeah.
So how'd you get into that? And then how'd you go from one side of the aisle to the other side?
I got into sports journalism. I have a journalism degree. I went to the University of King's College in Halifax. I got into sports journalism, and if anybody is listening who is like, I want to be in sports journalism, the number one thing that I would say is like, don't limit yourself to sports journalism, right? So when I came out of school, I knew I wanted to be a sports journalist, but I knew that there weren't that many jobs to go around, right? So I just applied to all the like summer internships that were out there, and I applied at I started at the Ottawa Citizen. I did some weird jobs. I worked on the naval base in Halifax at Trident News, their like internal naval base. I worked at a community newspaper outside of Ottawa, Kemptville Advance, which all of that teaching like is helpful for me in my current job, because like when I am looking at like people to engage, I'm like, oh, there's a lot of small Metroland media newspapers, for example, or there were at the time, like that we could speak to. So that summer it was the Women's World Cup, and they needed somebody to cover the Women's World Cup.
Amazing.
And so Jen basically was like, do you want to live your dream? And I was like, sure, okay,
sure, why not?
No problem, I would love to. But like a lot of work went into that, right? And like I think I always say luck, and then people sort of flick me and say it's not luck, you worked really hard to get there. But
of course.
I think it was a mix of both. But I will say that the year or so that I spent working in news was probably like some of the hardest times that I had, I worked on a couple of like really heavy storylines about
Subjects,
like doctors sexually abusing their patients and kids who had mental health challenges. And I was in a lot of really tough subjects. And it reminds you like that sports is just sports. And it reminds you, but it also reminds you that like sports can lift, right? And so I think that I'm never going to do anything in my current role, hopefully, as hard as like, you know, interviewing a mother whose child has just committed suicide. But I understand the value. It makes the importance of the storytelling so much more important to me, right?
Absolutely.
And so
puts things in perspective.
it does. It puts things in perspective, and it just makes me think about like anybody who's looking to go into sports journalism. Like, it made me a better sports reporter because I had like an element of compassion because of the work that I had done in the past. And so for any like young reporter, I would just say like, try
as much
try
as you
it.
can.
Get your foot in the door.
Yeah. There's timing, there's positioning, it's the way the universe works without sounding like a weirdo.
100%. It's very rare that you're like 24 years old and somebody like comes up to you and says, "Would you like to go on the road with the women's national team for 29 days?" Yes, I would love to. Thank you.
Wow. Cool.
Which now that I like listen to myself talk about journalism, it's shocking to me that I ever left it.
Yeah.
Right? Because I loved it so much, and I still like on a news day, I still like want to be in the newsroom. There's like nowhere else I want to be.
So cool.
And I got to the point where like I really wanted to start cheering for soccer instead of like being objective about it.
Right.
And I really wanted to sort of love the game and be part of building it. And I do fundamentally believe that media plays a massive role in building it, but I wanted to build it from the inside. So when I saw the job come up at the CPL, I like just like shot in the dark kind of thing. All happened really fast. Like, again, fate, whatever.
Yep.
You know, applied and had the job within like, I think 36 hours. It was like a really short turnaround. And now I'm like obsessed with it. I'm obsessed with our league. I'm obsessed with our properties. I'm obsessed with my teammates. And so, it's like, just I like putting myself in uncomfortable situations, I guess. I don't know.
I think you know exactly what you're doing, actually. I think you know
I'm
exactly.
so glad that I give off that air.
It's good.
Yeah.
You're fooling everybody,
Right.
Laura.
I love it. Fake it till you make it. That's what I always say.
That's amazing. I think that's an amazing piece of advice. All right, 12 questions here on the first half. You like that funky beat?
I like that funky beat.
You know where that's from, right?
No.
Oh, Sesame Street.
Oh.
For goodness sake.
Okay, sorry.
It's okay. I'm completely dated. All right,
yeah.
12 questions here with Laura Armstrong on the first half. Number 1, what is your favorite film?
Oh, shoot. Legally Blonde.
Number 2, what is your favorite song or band?
My favorite singer is Carole King.
Number 3, favorite sports team?
Arsenal.
Number 4, favorite athlete, dead or alive?
Ooh, Dennis Bergkamp.
Number 5, this is great stuff. Number 5, what is your favorite food?
Tacos.
Number 6, what is your favorite drink, alcoholic and non-alcoholic?
My favorite drink, alcoholic, is a margarita. My favorite non-alcoholic drink is a large steep tea with 2 milk from Tim Hortons.
Why are you laughing? There's no wrong
obsessed.
answer. It's okay. There's no wrong answer. Number 7, what would be one thing that you would buy if you won the lottery?
At-home chef. Can you buy a
Wow,
chef?
that is an amazing answer. There's no wrong answer, but that's a really good one.
I don't think
Yeah, of course
I
you
wouldn't
can.
buy the
No, but
person.
you're
I would buy the
paying for-
service.
the service.
Yeah, just to be clear.
I would like to buy a human. Number 8, dream trip.
Oh God. Fiji.
Fiji. All right, we're doing 12
know.
questions here
I
on the
got
first
some.
half with Laura Armstrong. Number 9, how do you deal with stress?
I don't.
That's good enough. A little after hours. Number 10, pajamas or no pajamas, Laura?
No.
No. No pajamas. Okay, that's right. We're assuming in no pajamas. Ow! Number 11, what is your favorite fashion brand at the moment?
I'm a real Aritzia girl. I've circled all the way back to my 15-year-old self to Aritzia and Abercrombie and Fitch. I'm dressing like my 15-year-old self again.
Again.
Yeah.
No wrong answer. Number 12, what is one thing you cannot live without?
My family.
Good answer. You can get in a
Good
lot of trouble
one?
with that one.
Yeah.
And our little 12.1 sneaky one,
Okay.
I need one word to describe football. So football is?
family.
Amazing.
Yeah.
It totally is. 12 questions here on the first half, Laura. You've been amazing. We appreciate it. And maybe we can connect again during the year and see how things are going.
I would love to do that.
Amazing.